Hey, my name's Dave. I work for SoundLab. This is a charity based in Glasgow that gives free music lessons for anyone that wants them. And I specialise in music technology. Now, in this part of my course, which is all to do with Ableton Live, we're going to learn a little bit about pads. Okay, so you've got your beats, you've got your bass, you've got your melody. What else can you add to a track? The pads. Now you may think, well, Dave, what's a pad? Okay. Now the term actually comes from orchestral music a long time ago, 100 years ago, when the strings, all the violin players and the cello players would play long drawn out notes all together and it would pad out the music so they sound lush. They sound deep, they sound chunky and thick, and ooh, they're really soothing to your ears. Think of them like a wave or the ocean. That is what pads do in your track, and I'll show you how to make them today. So everyone, let's add some pads to our track. You know, you've already got your bass, your drums, your melody. Here's why it got already. I'll let you hear that. So a pad, like we said, is something that thickens out the sound, pads it out, makes it sound a bit more interesting. So how can we add them? Well, there's a couple of different ways. You could use analog, the synthesizer that you saw for your bass. You could use wavetable. It's another synthesizer you can use for your melody that we did. You could use them for pads. They're both good at it. But I thought for a change, we'll have a look at operator, which is a different one. So where will it live? In instruments, of course. It's an instrument right up here. What do we have to do to get it ready? Add a Midi track, as always for instruments. I do Control, Shift, P on my keyboard, and I should be able to scroll along using this bar, and I should have a blank Midi track. This time it didn't pop in right at the end, so I'm going to drag it to the end. I want it to live there. And what I'm going to do is go to Instruments. I'm going to find Operator, which is here, click the arrow, and I'm going to look for pads. So it's in alphabetical order, so there we are. I'm going to try and find a pad that might fit this track. Click on them to preview them. And I'm just going to try and find one I like now. So I'm going to go for the fog pad because it's quite a subtle one. And all I have to do is drag it to the MIDI channel here, arm it, and it's ready to play. As long as I've got that yellow button lit, it means I can use my computer keyboard to play. Now pads can be bassy or they can be high. It's up to you, depends what you think your track needs. So it's good to play your track and maybe play along and see what you can do. Now, you might remember that this project is in C minor, and I think what might help me play it in, can you remember from last week, the scale MIDI effect, just so I can't hit any bum notes. So I'm going to MIDI effects, I'm going to go to scale, I'm going to choose the C minor scale and drag that into, of course, the left-hand side of my synth down here. And it means that hopefully I'll be in key with the rest of my track now. My only problem is it's a bit loud, and remember you can change the volume of individual things with this volume fader here, bring it up or down. I think it needs to be a lot quieter. I think I've got an idea, so I'm going to hit the record button there and try and record that in. And hit stop, double click on it. You can see they're a little bit off the grid, so I'm going to right click, quantize, that puts them on the grid. and I'm quite enjoying that. Now, that is how you could add a pad to thicken out your track, and normally they're kind of longer held notes. So you can either play them in like I did there, or you can always double click the MIDI clip, use your pen, draw them in as well like that. And you can even edit the ones you played in if you like. Of course, you might want to edit the synthesizer. As always, we can do that. I'm going to solo this track so you can hear it. Hit the solo button, double click Fog Pad. And as you can see, Operator is a little bit different to the other synths, but has some common features like, of course, the filter. It's quite small, it's hard to find in this one, but it says filter, and the frequency, we've got that as always on almost every synth. So let's use that to shape our sound. So quite enjoyed using the filter there just to help it fit better. And on our melody last week, we did add audio effects too, and pads really work with audio effects. So I'm going to show you one of my favorite audio effects. It's a new one in Ableton. If you click audio effects and go to echo, drag that onto the right hand side, not the left, only the right hand side for audio effects. And this thing, Echo, has got such cool features and such a cool sound. It's emulating some old tape machine echoes from the studio days, which is cool. And feedback, if you could lift that up or down by clicking in it, dragging up and down, you can see how many echoes it's going to add down that tunnel of echoes. So I'm going to set it about 50% to start with, hit play, and see what it sounds like. Drag that up. Add some reverb. It's got built-in reverb, which is kind of cool. Make it ping pong maybe. That means it ping pongs between different ears, the echo. And if I switch that off, maybe not as cool. So I'm going to add that, and I'm going to add a phaser as well, which is one of my favorite effects too. Phaser, like the phaser in Star Wars. Drag it on here, and let you have a listen. If I put them both off, bit boring, put on the phaser. Phaser is quite a subtle one actually. So remember, you can add all sorts of audio effects to your pads, even maybe some saturation or distortion or overdrive, maybe vinyl distortion. Let's put that on there, give it some crackle. Maybe turn it down a bit. I actually think I've went a bit too crazy with the effects, so I'm actually going to take away the vinyl distortion, click it, delete, take away the phaser, and turn down the dry wet of the echo a bit. So the dry wet is blending how much of the original sound you hear, how much of the echo do you hear. And it's quite good to set it to where you like it, then dial it back just a little bit, maybe 10%, because it can overwhelm your mix sometimes. So guys, hope you've enjoyed a little tutorial how to add pads to your track. You can add one, you can add two, it's up to you. You can record it in via your keyboard or draw them in. Long notes usually work best. And as well as Operator, Wavetable and Analog have some presets for pads as well. So check them out. Don't just use Operator. You can check out the other ones. And like I said, go wild with the effects. It always sounds quite good with the effects. But like I did today, you can go a bit too wild with them. So always maybe rein yourself in if you feel like it's taken over everything as well. So thanks for tuning into this one. Our next lesson, we'll find out about adding samples to your project. Yes. Thanks for tuning in to this session in Ableton Live with SoundLab, the Glasgow-based charity. My name's Dave. Get in touch in the comments if you want to know more, and don't forget to check out the other videos on the channel to develop even more. Cheers everyone, catch you later.